Good evening, everybody. I'm so pleased and so blessed to have all of you here to stand with me this evening to declare what I believe was already declared before the foundations of the world. What do you mean by that, Sherry? I'm a girl of faith, raised on the west side of Detroit by my mother, who is here tonight, Willie Ruth Thomas. Give it up. She's 83 years young. Oh, 82. I'm sorry. I kept saying I was 55 all year long, and I'm finally 55 as of last night. And so I'm very thankful to God that He has given us life. Listen, we've been through some very tumultuous times. These last 2 years were a tsunami. These last 2 years resonate with me like what Vietnam might have been like. Not only did I lose my sister, I know many of you in this room lost loved ones to COVID-19. I lost colleagues, Rep. Isaac Robinson, Senator Morris Hood, Sheriff Benny Napoleon. So many that we knew that would be in this space, and some that were not lost to COVID. Commissioner Jewel Ware. Oh my goodness. So many that we knew that would be on the front lines fighting for justice every day. I'm so honored, even though somebody took my notes, to have gone through ministerial training at one point so that I could just really speak from my heart, because that's what it's all about. You know, I've always known, thank you, give it up, Nabi. The attorney always got it right. Now who got my glasses? No. I growing up knew that I was called and purposed to do something great. I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew that I was always called to address injustice, inequality, unfairness. How do you know that as a young person? Well, you know, I had a blessed opportunity to not only be raised in the city of Detroit, on the northwest side, born on Burlingame Game and Dexter, went to Parker Elementary, then went to Halter, but then we moved for a moment out to Oak Park, where I went to Roosevelt Middle School, had to ride the bus sometimes, and then Oak Park High School, and then later moved back to Detroit, where I graduated. I don't think anybody else in this room has this as a bragging right. I graduated from 2 high schools in the state of Michigan. How'd you do that, Sherry? Well, I met all the requirements before I left Redford, but because of residency, I had to move to Redford, and so I have an alumni, which many of my Huskies are here. Give it up for the Huskies. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Thankfully, they both wear red, and my Oak Park High School Redskins. Give it up for Oak Park High. I see Reginald Mills in the back. So, you know, when I was riding the bus at Oak Park and I had some friends, Oak Park was an extremely diverse community. And I had friends that were African American, friends that white, Jackie Small that lived on the corner from down the street from me. My friend Muntaha, I forget which street she lived on, but I used to walk from my house to go to Muntaha's house to pick her up, and then we walked to school. Simply because she was quiet and she was shy, but I was the one who was walking through the halls and singing to everybody and talking. And I felt like I had to defend my quiet friend, Muntaha. My mother used to always have me in the choir as a young girl. As a matter of fact, 5 years old, I was singing in her quartet singing group. And that was quite challenging because I was with the more seasoned women of my community. And sometimes they would just hit a wrong note or two. And I would cry. But what I learned from being around my seniors, and I think that's where the love and admiration comes from with our seniors, is knowing that they could always impart wisdom, guidance, direction. That time that we lived in was a time where community looked out for not just their own children, but for all of our children. And that's something that I continue to strive for and dream about and want, even as I work for Alberta Tinsley Talabi. Give it up for my colleague and boss. I got a chance to work for Alberta Tinsley Talabi when she served in Detroit City Council. Back then, when we had my brother here, John Hill, he was here tonight, but we had Gil Hill, Brenda Scott, Kay Elvert, Mel Ravitz, Old Man Nick Hood, you name it, Marianne Mahaffey. That was a time where the doors were open and Annette Rainwater would tell everybody what to do. But we were family. We were family, and it's that type of leadership that I want to continue to advance. I went on to work for the late Councilman Clyde Cleveland. So know that you have a candidate that is, first of all, committed to the community, committed to the issues that are plaguing our children in our schools. When I left working for Detroit City Council in 2001, I believe it was, 2001, 2002, as a matter of fact, it was January. I then began to explore the issues of education. I went into the classroom and started teaching our children because I sit down and I would listen to the elders and I would learn from them and try to glean from them. Why am I seeing so many issues in our community? Why are so many people calling with their concerns? Why do we have this level of poverty that exists? Because I worked on constituent concerns and complaints. And so I'm sensitive to the needs that people call in to our office and want to address them. And so I figured after talking to some of our elders that the way that we could address this would be to fix our education system. In 2008, I was selected as an Obama Fellow and then an Education Pioneers Fellow. It was very hard to determine which one I would take because I wanted to make history. When everybody was saying Hillary, 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 I was saying Obama, Obama, Obama. And so I very much was excited because I was accepted to fellowship, to be a part of the fellowship with President Obama. But something in the depths of my heart and my soul wanted desperately to find out what are the issues that are at the underlying detriment of our community, and that is education. I found as a first-generation high school and college graduate the differences that it made in my family, the differences it made between me and my siblings, the needs and the opportunities that exist just by simply having a 2-year degree, and then a 4-year degree, and then a master's degree. But I didn't want to stop there. I wanted to explore the issues and find out why is it that our community will continue to build a pipeline to prison. Because if we don't properly invest in our education systems, we certainly are sentencing our children to just that, the pipeline to prison. We know that prisons are built based on third-grade reading scores. And so it became a passion. And why, Sherry, did it become a passion? Because I told you I was raised on the Northwest Side with a mother in a single home, where she met my father first in a factory, but factory wasn't good enough for him. After a life of being in the incarceration system, as a young girl, wanting very much to be around my father, wanting to spend time around my father, but not having that father figure in my life, and knowing the impact of our prison system, know that education goes hand in hand with the impact of what could potentially become an increased prison population. Think about it. We make up 14% of our state, but yet the percentage of our African American, Latino, and people of brown color that are incarcerating in our prisons is far exceeds any other population in our state. And I dare say in our country. And that's not by mistake. And so think about it. The issues that we have to focus on are primarily, first, is our education system. When we address our education system, we can set our youth on a trajectory to be successful and to be businessmen like George Barnes from Heritage Optical. Someone who sat with the late Coleman Alexander Young and learned the impact of not only being a business owner, but paying it forward and supporting those who want to lead the change. Not just get a job, those that want to lead the change. I was listening to him one day, and he's been supporting me for quite some time, but I listened to his wisdom, and he told me about an event that he planned one time with the late Coleman Alexander Young, and Coleman Young kind of told him off because he had spent too much money on frilly things instead of making the money really matter on getting the campaign dollars in the right coffers. And so know that that's what we wanted to do tonight, is to bring you together and show you that we're not committed to the frilly things, but we're committed to investing in those that will help us stomp the yard for justice. It's time out for having an appearance of success, but not having the power that we really need to change the course of our lives. And so I'm thankful for those who are standing with me. I'm thankful for my boss, Tony Policella, who is here from Team Wellness Center. I'm thankful for our entire team from Team Wellness that is committed to doing the work to transform lives, knowing that our children are not only going to be impacted by the prison system if we don't put them on the right course, but to know that after what we've been through for 2 years, the mental health well-being of our entire community. Let's face it, mourning, the loss of lives, no matter whether it's in your home or not, and even not the loss of lives. Have you looked at the percentage of people who have resigned from their jobs and said, I can't do life as I've done it the same anymore? And so people are looking at meaningful ways to transform their lives. They're looking for leadership that will help us live again, that will help us thrive again, that will help us hope again. And that's what this campaign is about, because it's not just a campaign. It's more than a campaign. It's a movement. Now, I'm willing to put myself in a position to be on the ballot, but know that it is not just me that is going to run this race. It's going to be all of us, because it belongs to all of us. And no, it's not just the city of Detroit. It is Wayne, it is West, it is Wyandotte, it is Romulus, it is Highland Park, it is Hamtramck, it is the Grosse Points, yes, right, Highland Park, it is Hamtramck in the house. The southwest Detroit parts of Detroit, everything east of Wyoming is in the heart of the city in Eastern Market, where we see our homeless people who are living every day, sometimes under tents, even at the door of our company, and we let them in for no cost at all. It is the communities that have been forgotten. That's what we have to think about tonight. I saw Councilmember Virginia Williams in the house over here. If Virginia Williams, if you could step, I see Monique Baker McCormick in the house. If I could get somebody to take Councilwoman Alberta Tinsley Talabi's phone and have her come up here. And it's going to take prayer warriors. I'm thankful that I see Pastor Ovella in the house that can pray for me today and the rest of this journey. Because since we made our announcement, y'all scared to come up? Y'all scared? Since we made our announcement, we have worked morning, noon, and night to make sure that we are victorious. Because we're not going to ask you to do no more than we're willing to do. We're not going to ask you to make phone calls if we're not willing to make phone calls. We're not going to ask you to knock on doors if we're not willing to knock on doors. And I have some strong people who have been at the front line who asked me to run in 2018. They asked me to run in 2020. But I think now is our time. The Word of God says that delay is not denial. When you have something that God has purposed you to do for the good and welfare for our entire community, we must be ready. We must ramp up. We must prepare ourselves. We must begin to pray. So whichever God you serve, we have to center ourselves and look at the needs of this country, the division that exists between our grassroots Miko and our business people. No longer can we be separated in our efforts to lead our communities forward. We're not going to agree on every agenda item, but what we must do, especially in the state of Michigan, is find that common ground. I'm thankful for all of our business owners and sponsors that are here. I see Moses over here from Ace Petroleum. Thank you for your support. He's in the 8th District, but his business spans across the country. The work that he is doing is amazing, but we need more businesses like Ace Petroleum. It's not just good enough for us to have one business here, one business there, and one business here, but it's time for our entire region to thrive. What are you focused on besides education? I'm focusing on our criminal justice reform system. I'm passionate, certainly, because I was personally impacted, but as a teacher in the classroom, I actually had students in middle school that had already been introduced to a life of crime. We have to change that, and we can change that by education policy. There were many that tried to get me to look at a race for Detroit City Council. And I said, I can't do anything to change the lives of our children and the policies for education at City Council. I enjoyed being a staffer at City Council, but I had to join my colleague to my left. Isn't that nice? She was my boss, then she was my colleague. Isn't that nice? Nobody else has that bragging right either. So I went to the legislature, and I went there as a champion fighter, fighting on behalf of justice and equality. And then I learned that, hey, you're stuck in a minority. You got to figure this out. How are you going to get any legislation passed? How are you going to get anything done if you don't have a willingness to work with members at some capacity on the other side of the aisle? And so I'm thankful for stories like Rick Worthy, who is here tonight, being able to have a second chance. Because I don't believe in unfair sentencing for anybody. And I'm thankful for the work that he is doing with our company to make sure that thousands others will have a second chance. But we have to do more work to change our laws. And so I'm grateful for having an opportunity to work across the aisle with now Prosecutor Pete Lucido, with then Rep. Iden, and also Jeremy Moss, even on our moral character laws, to make sure that we gave other people an opportunity to get licensure in fields that they would not be able to because they had an offense on their record. Once our prisoners have paid their debt to society and they have been found they can now be released, are we going to continue to lock them in a cycle of poverty? Are we going to continue to lock ourselves in a cycle of paying for them to return back to incarceration? Or are we going to transform the laws so that once they have paid their debt to society, they can now become thriving, working business owners, businessmen? That's what we have to do. And so I saw Darrell Woods here tonight, who also has served an enormous amount of time in our prison incarceration system, but as a member of Greater Grace Temple, as a prison release and prison reform advocate, he is doing the work to transform lives. Danny Harani, my colleague, who is also here. I can't tell you how many IDs. Danny, I think I served 26, 27 years in being incarcerated. And he came out, that's right, give him. He came out with a vision to impact and transform lives and give them an opportunity. We have an amazing boss. I can't say this enough. But Tony Policella sees the good in the people that work with him and for him, and he releases them to do the work that they're called to do. In fact, he was the one that kept urging me, you got to run for office. You got to run for office. I said, no, I kind of like it here. He said, you got to run for office. But Danny has gotten close to 300 returning citizens. Their IDs. Now, we talk about voting rights, right? You can't vote unless you have an ID. And if a person that's returning from prison can never get an ID again, the red tape that's in the way, you got to think about that. Danny helped to do that. And so thank you, Danny, for doing God's work. Thank you for doing God's work. And voting rights are important. And so I don't see her here yet, but Rep. Tanisha Yancey, she and I met and we talked, and we have a text thread. I saw former Rep. Brian Banks here earlier. Well, we were talking months ago, before this redistricting got to the point of where it's become today. And it seems like I was running around saying, the house is on fire, the house is on fire, the house is on fire. And nobody seemed to get that the house really was on fire. The work that I saw that Danielle over there, one of my colleagues from National Congress of Black Women, and Natalie Bianami with the Deltas, they were working behind the scenes and trying to organize. And I couldn't say too much at first behind the scenes because you got to know who you work for. That wasn't Tony at the time. But I had to keep it quiet. But once I could, I started letting people know that, hey, these maps are a problem. we got to do something. Every time we would have a press conference, every time we would have a meeting, I was trying to figure out, this is not going to work. We have to sue. Now, I'm not a lawyer, but in high school, they said I should have been a lawyer when I took the assessment test. So I have enough sense to surround myself with some lawyers. And Nabi Ayad, I just want to thank you and the Ayad law firm that helped to ensure on a pro bono basis that we were able to move forward with a lawsuit at the state level to address these unfair districts. Because right now we're at a place where we could potentially be without any African American representation. And that is not going to happen on our watch. That is not going to. Oh, I see Rep. Fred Durhal here. Thank you. Oh, all right. I'm still stuck there. Well, he was my colleague as Rep. Fred Durhal. Come on up here, Fred. Thank him for his endorsement. Thank you. I appreciate it. Councilmember Angela Callaway was here as well, and we have a list of those who have endorsed us, and so I'm thankful. I just have to say that this can't be done alone. So we have our education system, our criminal justice reform system, because we know the direct correlation between the both if you don't fix education. We have to make sure that we are supporting our small business and economic development. We make sure we have to build our relationships and move forward in addressing even the expansion of workforce development and jobs across our region. We have to make sure that this brother here that sat on appropriations one time, and we have conversations into the wee hours of the morning trying to figure out what could we bring home from the state of Michigan. Now, we didn't always get the credit for things that we brought home, but know that we brought millions of dollars home to address literacy. Making sure, come on now. Making sure that when we sat down with Governor Snyder and Dick Posthumus and at that time, Colonel Etchu, and they just wanted to take her head off, we said, wait, it's not enough. We need some money to come into our community to address these issues so that we can have more balance in our Michigan State Police recruiting policies. And so you learn when it's almost time to walk out the door how to negotiate. The then governor looked at me and said, I'm not the devil. I said, I didn't say you were. I'm just saying we need some money in our community. And I'm thankful that we were able to get that with the help of the work that Fred Durhal, as state representative at that time, helped to lead, and we were able to move those dollars forward. But that's what it's going to take. More investments in our community, making sure we address our infrastructure. I ran for the school board because the teachers asked me to. They asked me to come into the school board, school system, and to address what was unfair and, from their perspective, very dangerous conditions for them to work in dealing with the impact of COVID-19. And so, yes, I took the mantle. Most people run for the school board and then run for other offices. I ran for the school board because I had a heart to serve and looking out for our teachers, many of which, and principals and entire staff of our district. We've lost a number of staff members that is not always publicized due to COVID-19. But I'm thankful that I'm able to be there to be a voice to address some of those inequalities. But it's time for us to go further and forward in addressing policies at a national level. Now, for those who look at my Facebook page and saw that speech that went viral through Now This, I had a chance to think about it. Now, a lot of the work that I do, I don't really think about it because it's really been a continuum since working in city council. And so I don't just sit down and think about, now I did this, now I did that. And so when people are interviewing me and asking me these questions, sometimes it deals with emotions that I didn't even know I had. Rose, where are you? From Bloom's? Where's Rose? Our psychologist. I probably have to see her a few times during this race. But I didn't even know I had these issues of hurt and pain, not because of what was done to me, but what's been done to our school system, the state takeover, the dismantling of public education, the impact that it will have on our children. And so when you see that speech on the floor when I'm addressing third grade reading, it goes back to that little girl whose father was locked in prison, and prisons being built based on third grade reading scores. And so that's why I'm so emotional and passionate about education. But I also understand that we have to take care of our least of these. We should not have homelessness in a country that has the type of wealth and innovation that we have. And so we need to address and make sure that we have affordable housing. We shouldn't still have challenges in dealing with environmental injustice. We need to make sure that we have clean and safe drinking waters. We got to make sure that we have clean air in our community. But when we have leadership that ignores the signs of what's happening to our children and our families in these communities, we are all at fault. And so I'm asking all of you who are joined here, not just for you to get involved because you're here tonight, but I'm asking you to now act like surrogates of justice that will reach out to your friends in every community, to reach out, whether they live in the 13th district or not, and ask them to become engaged. Because we have to do what is necessary to move our nation forward. And we will only move our nation forward when we have a proven leader, a proven fighter, a proven servant to the people that is willing to not back down against injustice. I've been properly prepared. I've been trained by the best. I've served and dedicated my time. And so now it's time for us to really move into high gear with more than a campaign, a movement. Us working together, we are the force. I was asked by the news, was I worried about big money coming into this race? And I said, you know what? The people of the 13th district are wiser than that. They're smarter than that. And so it might have worked one time, but it won't work this time. Because it's not just one person who's lifting up the message of justice. It's all of us who are lifting up the message of justice. And so if you would dare tap into this movement and think about the work that we need to do, what role do you want to play? How will you invest in our future, not in Sherry? How will you invest in policy that will set our country on its right course? How will we do that? By dedicating our time, our prayers, our dollars, our energy, so that we can get the word out that it is more than a campaign, a movement. Come on, say it with me. More than a campaign, a movement. One more time. More than a campaign, a movement. Now, I just have to say this, and I'm going to close. I just have to say this, that if I could read this list of our supporting sponsors, I would. We have a board out there. I'm going to try and read a few. But know that God is good, and they said that we couldn't raise the money, but we met our announcement goal. I said, Lord, if it be your will, and if you really want me to do this, wherever he gives vision, he gives provision. And I want you to know that the Lord is a provider. This list of sponsors, friends, gold sponsors. Now, if you want to know how do you become a platinum sponsor, and we have 3 on here, it's $5,800. If you want to know how to become a gold sponsor, and we have 6 or 7 on here, it's $2,800. And if you want to know how to become a justice sponsor, it's $1,000, and I can't read that many people. And our hosts were $500, and our friends were $250. But I'm grateful for those of you that were able to get in on the $55 donation yesterday for my birthday, because I believe in giving back. Now, if we're going to get out here and do this thing on the right course, I want you to join with me one more time and say, more than a campaign, a movement. One more time, more than a campaign, a movement. One more time. Yes. Come on, say it again. That's what we have to become, and we are ready. Our shoes are laced up. August 2nd, here we come. We're not stopping until we're victorious. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. God bless you. And I see our Detroit caucus chair, Rep. Tanisha Yancey, that has joined us here. I don't know if I missed any other electeds. I did call Commissioner I just want to read off who our endorsements are. Judge Greg Mathis, Detroit City Council Pro Tem James Tate, Detroit City Councilwoman Angela Whitfield Callaway, Highland Park Councilwoman Glenda McDonald, Wayne County Commissioner Monique Baker McCormick, Romulus City Councilwoman Virginia Williams, Councilwoman Legina Francilla Washington Inkster, E-Course Councilman Devontae Sherrod, our Detroit Caucus Chair Rep. Tanisha Yancey, the Honorable Teola Hunter, Senator Betty Jean Alexander, Honorable Alberta Tinsley Talabi, Honorable Latanya Garrett, the Honorable Wendell Byrd, Mayor Valerie Kendall Harper Woods, Mayor Monique Owens East Point, Bishop Coletta Vaughn, Pastor Spencer T. Ellis, Robin Moore, and Pastor Ovella Davis. Give them all a round, and each of you. Now visit our website and share. Please visit our website and share. Where's Tammy? Tammy, thank you for getting these done at the 9th hour. I have a team of sisters that help cover us because we were doing a lot. We have a volunteer form here that we need for you to please fill out. Take a couple if you can. We'll be reaching back out to make sure that we get petitions to each of you to turn in by the filing deadline on April 19th. It is no I, it is we. It is no me, it is we. I'm thankful for each of you who are here, who are connected together for the unity and advancement, not just of the 13th district, but of our country. We're going for victory, the 13th Congressional District. Here we come!